giving lectures. A show that answers the question, how many intellectual failings can be covered up with a sense of humour? Turns out quite a lot. We have seen Guy perform a lecture about the amazingness of bees, but now it's time for our next lecturer. Welcome to the stage, Ruby Esther! Welcome, Ruby. Let's see what lecture you will be giving today. The shape of stress. This lecture was originally given by Dr. June Kim at the University of Otago on the 2nd of May 2022. That's a pretty bold move, redoing a lecture that was done literally a month ago. I feel like it's done, like what?
Kind of didn't do it justice.
Oh. All right, Ruby, it's time to deliver your lecture. Ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for Ruby Esther!
Stress comes in all different shapes. It comes in this shape, and yeah, even this shape. But what do these all have in common? Hi, I'm Ruby Esther, stress expert and beautiful woman. Today, I'm talking to you about the shape of stress. Now, the very first thing each of us does on this earth is create stress. So, it's a lot bigger than I thought. But we continue on past infancy to lead lives where we still create that stress for both ourselves and those around us, whether that be stress that derives itself from academia or social situations, emotional situations, a situation as mundane as public speaking. The first thing each of us does on this earth is create stress. But has stress always been on earth? Sorry, I just thought that sounded like a cool kind of like reversal, like rhetorical. So what I mean is like, is it innately human? Have we, like modern society just created it, or like are we like? The answer is kind of. Cavemen, femmes, and thems experience stress. But for them, it was less, this is a new social situation and I don't know where the bathroom is. And more, I'm gonna die. That is a mammoth. And quite often, they were right. Cavemen, femmes, and thems are where we are introduced to the concept of stress in its most basic form, fight or flight response. A danger is presented and a reaction is had. Whereas today, stress and anxiety are more interchangeable. A danger is presented. Sorry, not sure what a white man is doing there. The evolution from fight or flight to stress did not occur until 1936, when it was coined by Hans Selye. He was a scientist who discovered the phenomenon of stress after doing numerous rat tests. And that one, the cruel one. Now, if you're anything like me, you're suddenly very sidetracked and you're wondering, how do you stress out a rat, though? Take away its cheese? Invite it to a social gathering? A mouse warming, if you will? Or do you have it roam the streets of Paris alone, believing his family is dead until he is adopted by a hopeless chef in training, only to find that he can control said chef by sitting atop his head and making use of some rare genetic condition where the man's limbs are directly connected to his hair, so they work together in a fast-paced first-class kitchen to create Michelin-star-worthy meals like beef bourguignon with a red wine jus, or like ratatouille. After completing this experiment, the physical and physiological effects on the rats became very clear, and Hans dedicated the rest of his life to ensuring the understanding of stress became an international phenomenon. And now, for some unknown reason, it was bang on 1945 when everyone started throwing the term stress around. Slow burner for some of you. Stress was now understood to a much greater extent as part of the human condition for men. Men who went to war. Women were and are hysterical. Today, whilst we aren't facing any wars anywhere, we still face a plethora of stress in other areas. Today's top 5 causes of stress are death, divorce, moving, job loss, serious illness, injury, or abuse. So, not super funny. But what is what the same website I got these stresses from suggests in order to combat them. Number 1, move. Bit of a contradiction. And this is not me being cheeky. I'm not taking anything out of context. None of the tactics I'm about to suggest were elaborated on in any form. And they did come from an official unnamed hospital website. So number 2, breathe. People love to suggest breathing. They love it. But arguably, breathing, living, is the number 1 cause of stress. So that feels optional. And finally, number 3, that's right, it's only a 3-step process. Feel good. So, pretty foolproof. No, but facing my own top 5 causes of stress, as we all are, as we all do, I found that none of these tactics have quite ticked the box. So here's like a visual representation of my stress. He's back. They always are. Worse than a text. All been there. Yeah, okay, that was not funny. I'd rather have that one. And how do I cope with this? How do I cope with my stress? I don't. Did you miss the first slide? Now look, some of you may have clicked on to the fact that my stress veers more on the side of clinical and crushing anxiety. Not to worry, because mental health isn't real. But if mental health was real, you might be able to say that this is the case for a lot of people. Their stress is high and it's constant, and if mental health was real, their stress may fall under one of these mental health conditions. But it's not real, and they don't, and neither do I. And definitely not 3. So, here's the catch. Sometimes stress is valuable. It is undeniably one of the biggest motivators. Without stress, I know I wouldn't have written this lecture or completed this presentation. Okay, well, like, without stress, we wouldn't be on the moon. We wouldn't have the words of Shakespeare or the art of Da Vinci or, like, high-rise jeans. Everything was created in an environment of stress to some degree. In a world without stress, I probably wouldn't do that thing where, like, you know, you're on a busy bus and you sit down and there's like a spare seat next to you, and then the next person who gets on the bus doesn't take that seat and they actually choose to stand. And at first you're like, oh my God, thank God, because stranger danger. But then you're also like, okay, what's up? So stress is a necessary evil. It can debilitate you. And I mean debilitate. But with inappropriate quantities, it also ensures achievement and progression. Don't get me wrong, the percentage of good to bad stress is still looking kind of like this. But it's still a silver lining of sorts. Stress comes in all shapes. Good, bad. Those are the 2 shapes. Stress comes in all shapes, but what is important is how we let it shape us. Ooh. Damn it. Oh my God.
That was so funny. I'm sorry that you're stressed.
No, I'm good, G.
Yeah. I would offer you a massage, but I've been told to stop doing that.
No, yeah.
I really enjoyed that. That was so awesome. How did that make you feel, Guy?
I felt stressed because it was so good. Mine's a piece of shit, so I'm not looking forward to following that. I wanted you to name and shame the hospital where you got that advice from.
It was a UK hospital in Bristol. Feel good?
Brendan, what things do you do to feel good?
To feel good? Yeah, I'll take one of those massages you're offering, I'll tell you that much. Did anybody else, when the picture of the white man came up, just like look at this panel? Just like...
Guy, what did you think of that lecture?
I thought it was very funny.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the cruel irony that you became stressed while writing your lecture about stress. And it made me wonder, do you have some sort of concept of an ideal space where stress doesn't exist for you?
No.
I am so sorry.
Have you tried breathing?
Okay.
All right, that's it. I'm going to give her a massage. I'm going for it. I know. Now, listen, it's time for a quick break, so why don't you light some candles, run a bath, and then empty it immediately, because there's no time for that. When we return, Brendan Green will deliver a lecture that will make your life a whole lot better.